Kia ora, good morning. So, I'd like to talk to people on an ascending path, people who have just started their ascension and they're a little bit afraid and they don't know what's happening to them and they don't know why. And this is the whole reason why I have put myself out there ever since I started my, um, well, ever since I was thrown into my full trial by fire. In 2017 kind of is when it really started. Once my ex called me back from the radio station that I was trying to get a gig at in Chicago, with all his lies and everything. That's kind of when I got thrown into my trial by fire, because I had to completely rely on faith and intuition and instinct. Now, in regards to the video I made yesterday talking about ascensions, and if you haven't been locked up and blah blah blah, I need to elaborate a little bit, because this is really important that I don't get this wrong, for the simple fact that statistically a high functioning creative empath is more likely to suffer from depression and addictions and things like self-harming, which is something that I learnt when I was locked up, because I was locked up with a lot of women who were self-harmers, who were incredibly intelligent, creative, gifted women. There was one girl there who was a self-harmer. I'm not going to name names or anything, but she was a self-harmer, and she crocheted the most beautiful blankets and doilies, and just absolutely beautiful. So the creative empathic mind, the high-functioning creative empathic mind, is the kind of artistic person who is destined, not where it is a possibility or it could happen, where they are destined to make an impact on the world that helps inspire people like them who come after them. So you have to earn the reward in order to receive it. I always say a gift is given before it is, a gift should be earned before it's given. And a gift should be learned before it's received, so when you are handed a position of, say, if you're a musician and you're destined to be the next Mozart or Kurt Cobain or Elton John or someone, where everyone's going to know your name 100 years after you're dead. Now, those three examples are actually pretty good, because they're three examples of three incredibly talented, gifted, high-functioning, creative, empathic people whose lives took very drastic turns on their way to ascension. Thankfully, Elton John is the success story of an ascension, because he went through having to deal with his sexual identity and the public shaming and ridicule and all the gossip and smear campaigns that happened when he came out, and stories about his addiction days and that he's fought addiction like you wouldn't believe, and his music and what he created is going to last forever, long after he's dead, long after his children have had grandchildren and stuff like that. People like Elton John are destined to stay in this, become a star. When they die, they will have their place certified in the universe as a star, a proper star. Whereas there are other people, like I'm just trying to think. Okay, well, without sounding harsh, it's people like Errol Flynn, who will be forgotten in 100 years. Gen Z kids and that won't know who Errol Flynn is, but everybody knows who Elton John is. Do you know what I mean? So with great power comes great responsibility, and when God blesses you with these triumphs and victories and money and fame and all that sort of thing, you have to earn it. 99.9% of the time, people who are chosen for an ascension are usually people who don't believe in them. It's God's kind of sneaky way of ensuring that he gets all the credit for turning you around. I always say he boasts with me that he converted a heathen. But it doesn't have to be God, it can be the universe or spirit or your ancestors or gods, plural. But it is the person that you believe is responsible for your existence here on earth taking credit for pulling you out of darkness. So what's going to happen is the first way you're going to know you're going through an ascension is you're going to go through a dark night of the soul. Like, it's going to hit you hard. You're going to think that you're dying, that you're losing your mind. You won't be able to eat, you won't be able to sleep, you won't be able to shut the thoughts out of your head. Noise will be painful, physical touch will be painful. Like, it's almost like you're put in a state of suspended animation, and this is like the critical time. It's the most important time of the person's ascension, because it's basically they're at a crossroads where they're being told to choose between life and death. You either save your soul or you condemn it, right? So then when you make the choice to save yourself and to remove, because basically what's happening is you have absorbed so much negative energy, you have absorbed all the lies and the darkness and the, you know, the debauchery and the backstabbing, like all the stuff that's going on behind your back that you don't know about from the people you think you can trust. You're absorbing it all and not even realizing it. And if they're like with me, for example, if they're planning on getting you locked up and framing you for things you didn't do and trying to kill you and stuff like that behind your back, you absorb it all and you don't even know why, and you won't know where it's coming from. You will even start, as your pineal gland starts to decalcify, because what you have to remember is when you come out of the underworld stage, you go right into the earth stage of your ascension, which is where you suddenly realize, I need to get out of the situation that I'm in. I need to move. I need to change my job. I've got to start getting healthy. I've got to start looking after myself. I've got to start getting clean. I've got to start making better money. I need to move. I've got to change where I am. I can't stay here anymore. This is going to kill me if I'm around these people, if I'm around this situation. If I stay any longer and ignore the red flags and ignore what I'm being told and shown and that sort of thing, these people are going to kill me. Like, it's going to kill, they will suck the life out of my soul, and I will end up falling into, you know, addictions or negative behavior like fetishes and things like that, and even like suicidal thoughts and that sort of thing. So, and getting into fights and, you know, because you're not expressing yourself when you're stuck between the earth and fire stage, especially when you haven't let go of some of the shadows that you were surrounded by when you were in the underworld stage. You can find yourself doing things like because you're talking about earth and fire, so you're talking about physical and passion, so it can mean arguments and fights. So you might find yourself having to physically defend yourself, or losing your temper with people and not having patience, and you know, becoming physical, throwing things, smashing things, punching things, you know, that sort of thing, becoming physical. If that happens, that's because you know that there's still people or things that you haven't let go of. What you need to understand is when you come out of the underworld as well, you go into the earth stage, you have like a pineal gland activation. Your pineal gland starts to decalcify as you are ascending and, you know, earning the right to sit in consciousness where you get to be with your gods and ancestors anytime you like, while developing your supernatural gifts, or rather earning your supernatural gifts, whatever they will be. They won't be the same as mine. Yours will be different. We are all different. Like in my comic book, The Quantum Menace, every single person that I've written into my comic book / video game, hopefully one day movie, are all based on people in my real life who have real supernatural abilities. Meltdown the Illusionist, like these are people who have actual real gifts in real life. They're real supernatural people. Because I can only be around people of my kind now, but I'm kind of like not the leader, but well, I mean, I am the leader because they look to me to show them, how to deal with all of this. Um, but when your pineal gland decalcifies, you're going to notice things like your pineal gland is responsible for the production of melatonin, which is really, really important for your circadian rhythm, your day night rhythms. How you sleep and how you function during the day is all because of your pineal gland. And of course, that when your pineal gland is decalcified, it then activates your vagus nerve, which will immediately start triggering this need to want to get healthy. You won't be able to stop it. You won't be able to help it. Anyone who claims to have been on an ascension for the last few years and hasn't lost weight, they're not on an ascension. I'm not being horrible when I say this, but you need to understand that your physical body, the physical appearance of a person is going to tell you whether they're telling the truth about their ascension or not, because you can't hide the ascension glow. Everything glows. Your hair, your skin, your nails, like everything. What you say, your eyes, everything glows. There's like a light that comes over you because of the fact that you have activated your vagus nerve. It immediately starts to transform the condition of your skin because you're changing the way you eat, because you're getting more exercise. And I mean, like, you can't stop yourself. You have so much energy to burn as everything is starting to melt off you. You can't help yourself. So if there are people sitting on their backsides and they're a little bit chonky or, quite overweight and that, and they're giving it large about having ascensions and that, and they don't get off their bum and they moan about having exercise and things like that, these aren't people who are ascending, because when you're having an ascension, you can't stop it. You will find, like, you will lose weight incredibly fast. You'll find yourself starting to have diversions to foods and music, and even things like certain fabrics and that will start to feel uncomfortable on your skin. Because as you're changing and developing and becoming more high vibration, everything about you and everything around you has to change as well to suit the new person you're becoming. So you might discover, don't be surprised as well if you do suddenly start developing food allergies, because that happened to me. I had only ever been allergic to egg. I was born with an egg allergy. Um, I've never been able to eat egg like my whole life. The one time I tried, I vomited so badly, like I think I was about 3 or 4. I got sort of like coaxed into eating a sandwich and I vomited so hard. I just remember being in the toilet thinking that my eyes were going to pop out, and my sister freaking out thinking, oh my God, I think I've just killed my sister. But it was okay, I got it all out. As soon as I swallowed it, it came back up. So yeah. But then when I started losing weight on the 29th of July 2015, I went off all forms of sugar, including artificial sweetener. The only sugar I have is from dairy and fruit and dried fruit. However, after about a year and a half of me losing weight, I developed a gluten intolerance and a slight, over the last 8-9 months, a slight citric acid intolerance. It's actually called food pollen allergy syndrome. And so I had developed a slight aversion to anything with citric acid in it, which is everything from potatoes, tomatoes, peaches, nectarines, plums, berries, broccoli, onions, garlic, and I had to cut it all out. But it's only an intolerance. I had too much of a build-up of it for some reason. Well, I know what it is. When I got locked up, between my ex-husband, between my ex-husband and the hospital locking me up, I was starved for so many years on and off, but for almost 4.5 months. And when I was locked up, I was starved. I was going up to 5 days without being given any food. And my kidneys were starting to pack up and stuff like that. The doctor had to come. I had a rash all over my face, and it was absolutely horrendous. I almost died. They almost killed me. Like, they did almost kill me. I was probably about a week and a half away from being rushed to hospital because I was on the brink of collapse. I was too scared to go to sleep because I thought I was going to have a heart attack because my heart was starting to play up. So anyway, I think what happened is when I got out and I, got settled in my place and, was able to start getting money in for the first time ever, because like my exes controlled what money I made, you know. This isn't going on about the abuse, but what I'm saying is once I got the money to start buying the food that I wanted, that I needed, I think what happened is my body got so freaked out at the fact that it was getting regular food all the time. It hung on to everything, and citric acid being one of them, because all the foods that I mentioned that have citric acid in it are the things that I live on. I used to have like a berry medley for breakfast with Greek yogurt and that every single morning for months and months and months and months and months and months and months. And I think my body just like sucked everything up and just held on to it within an inch of its life because it had been starved for so long. But what I was told was that to just give, it was actually my niece, my niece who is in intensive care. She came to me in a dream, and she's a blood specialist. She's got like bachelor's degrees and stuff. She's so smart. Amber Diamond, my character Amber Diamond is after her, Amber. And she came to me in a dream and she said, just give it 3 or 4 months, just strip it out of your diet, give it 3 or 4 months, let it get out of your system, and then slowly start reintroducing these foods back into your diet, which is exactly what I've done. And fingers crossed, it seems to be doing well now. I'm not, my skin's not burning and I'm not getting like, rashes and things like that. I'm not, uh, chesty coughs and runny noses and that. They're symptoms of having if you have a constant chesty cough and a constant running nose, that can actually be a sign of a citric acid or pollen food allergy syndrome. In which case, all you need to do is just cut citric acid out of your diet or strip it back, and take antihistamines. I have to take them 3 times a day, but since everything started getting better, I'm down to like 2 a day. But it's not going to last forever, but these are the sort of things that are going to happen for you. So if you develop sudden allergies, or aversions to things, for me, my taste in music changed, the way that I dress changed, the way that I speak. I mean, okay, I did take etiquette classes and that, but the way you present yourself, the way you act, the way you communicate, everything is going to change. And so it's physically painful and mentally painful and emotionally painful to be ascending and still be around low vibration. It becomes like a physical, mental, psychological aversion. You can't physically be around it. It's painful when you're forced to stay. Tall poppy syndrome, um, crabs in a pot. You get pulled back down to their level. The only way you're ever going to be able to save yourself is by removing yourself completely and having to start again. You will lose everything. Everything that you can't take with you to your new life, you will lose, including your home, your freedom. You will be framed for things. People will hate you so much. Some of them never even met you or barely knew you, will hate you so much because of your light, because you've been chosen to better yourself and they weren't. They will go out of their way to try and destroy everything about you, and at a time they will succeed. And you need to prepare yourself for that, because if you don't get locked up, if you don't get framed for things, where you're having to fight to defend yourself, where you are 100% innocent and you're being, framed as 100% guilty, you're going to have to fight to defend yourself. Don't give up. Don't let them win, because what you need to understand is they are the test. If they succeed in pulling you down and making you put on weight again and start drinking again or take the drugs again or becoming abusive and going out again or sleeping around or whatever it was, if you fall back into that, that's you done. You will never be allowed to ascend again, because you only get one chance. Many are called, few are chosen. You only get one chance to prove that you're willing to do whatever it takes in order to have the best life possible to serve your gods and ancestors, because that's exactly why you're chosen, because it's your gods and ancestors choosing you to be the one to clear up all ancestral karmic debt, including your own. And the people who support you in it will also be helping you pay off ancestral karmic debt, as well as their own ancestral karmic debt. You all help each other, because you either are in master maker or master manipulator relationships. Master maker relationships are the relationships that you have with people that, even if you don't see eye to eye, even if you have different viewpoints in that, you can agree to disagree, because you respect each other so much. You just want to help each other succeed and be the best that each other can possibly be, while being on a part of that journey together. You look to each other for inspiration and guidance and support, and love and mutual understanding. Master manipulator relationships will always start from birth. The master manipulators are going to be the people in your life from the minute you're born, who mold and shape everything you become as an adult that is negative. So any hang-ups you have about fear of failure will come from the fact that maybe you were constantly criticized as a child by your mother, which means the knock-on effect will be is that you will never have successful relationships with women on a romantic level. Your mother is supposed to set the bar, set the standard for what the son wants to look for in a wife. And if she's loving and nurturing and caring and, understanding and supportive in that, then, you're going to have successful relationships. And the same goes for men. If your father was abusive or drinking or, then as a girl growing up, that's what you're going to look for in a man. And it's why I always said, because with my father being in the army for over 34 years, 18 years of my life, I will never marry someone in law enforcement or the military, because I don't want to live that fear of constantly worrying about what's happening to them when they're not with me. I can't, my dad used to go away for years at a time and not knowing whether we were going to get that call to say he was dead or whatever, especially when he went to the Solomon Islands and that, because there was a civil war going on. So, your family, your parents and your siblings and your aunties and uncles and grandparents and that set the tone for how you're going to be when you're older. So any hang-ups that you have now as an adult will be as a direct result of your friends and family, your school, your teachers, that sort of thing, when you're young, before you hit puberty. All the negative attributes that you're going to have as an adult would have been instilled in you as a child, because of the people who are responsible for raising you before society is supposed to take over, teaching you how to grow in this developing world. So child abuse, physical, mental, sexual, all that sort of thing, controlling parents, critical siblings, people, gossiping and backstabbing and all that sort of thing. If you witness that as a child, you're going to think that's normal as an adult, and it's not. So it's up to you to change it. You have to be the one to break the karmic cycle, and that's why you're chosen for an ascension. But you either accept the ascension or you don't. You can't be half in or half out. Because if you step into it and then step out of it to do something, like, for example, what happened to me with my students and ex-husbands, because both of them were students in the beginning. When they decided to do what they did, they flipped the cycle. They flipped fate for them. They became the other reality. They became the matrix. Do you see what I mean? So the people who choose not to come with you or support you, they become the matrix. And then what happens is you get to a point in your ascension where you look back at it and you realize just how lucky you were to escape it. You will find, especially around, we're kind of, even though we're in Gemini season, we've still got Taurus hanging about. Gemini's starting to slowly take over its ownership. Gemini energy is slowly starting to transition into taking, his place in the zodiac structure, the astrological structure. But there's still heavy Taurus. So it's still a lot of people trying to wash the mud off them from the last dark night of the soul. The news is evident of all of that. But Gemini is starting to make his appearance, Hermes, Mercury, making his appearance. So you're going to have memory issues. And I've been finding that a lot. And don't panic, it's got nothing to do with dementia or anything like that. But what's happening is, as your pineal gland is decalcifying and switching on, and as your brain is starting to change its chemicals and your hormones are changing and all of that, you're going to have slight memory loss. But it's only because the illusion has been removed and replaced with truth. So things that you thought you remembered, or things that you thought you knew, will end up being an illusion. You'll see the truth of it, and it's usually because mind control, because the people around you are trying to manipulate the way you think, the way you feel, the direction you're going in by, how they're treating you, whether it's through verbal abuse, gaslighting, manipulation. Oh, are you sure you want to be with that person? Are you sure this is what you want? Trying to put fears and doubts and that into your mind. All that is going to start getting washed away, because what happens is, by that point you become so in love with where you're going, it's easy to walk away from what you're leaving behind, because you realize that you can't be around people anymore who are constantly dragging your energy down, and so they have to be like washed off and removed so that you can be purified and cleansed. And that's the earth and fire stage, because obviously fire is truth and purification as well. So you will be expected to burn your past, light the match and burn the past down. And your master makers will then start coming into your life in order to help you recover from it, because you will be psychologically traumatized from the ascension process, because you're going to have to fight for your life, literally fight for your life and your freedom, against people who will go out of their way to break the law to set you up, people who will go out of their way to cause as much trouble and damage for you simply because they hate the fact that you've worked on yourself and they haven't. You're a reminder to these people that you bettered yourself when they chose to stay in darkness and filth and dank. That's not your problem. Let them go, walk away and let them go. It doesn't matter if they are a spouse, a best friend, a sibling, whatever. If these people aren't 100% by your side with their swords at the ready to defend and protect you while you're going through whatever transformation you're going through, these are people that aren't supportive of you. They don't care about you. They don't care about you. They only care about the effect that your ascension is having on them, and that is selfish and narcissistic. So these are not people that you need to have in your life. Even if they're family, you are not in the you are not expected to honor and love people who don't honor and love you in return. You have to get what you give. You treat people how people treat you. And the other thing you need to understand when you're going through your ascension is that even even when you remember things wrong, see, I don't remember things wrong. I've noticed that I've been getting like years wrong, or the month of something wrong. I'll remember everything, but see, like I've been saying that my dad died in 1997, but he didn't. He died in 1998, 10th of January 1998. My sister died in 91. My mum died in 2005. But all of a sudden, I've been saying 2017. And I thought mum died in May, but it was March. It was her sister that died in May. So when all these events were taking place in my life, I was around some very dark stuff. I was around people who were not at their highest vibration. And what I came to realize is that all the events in my life where I've gotten the month or the year wrong were all traumatic events for me, that I must have been suffering some form of PTSD from it, like my dad's death, my mum's death, blah, blah, blah. Especially because I wasn't there. I haven't been there for any of my aunties and uncles and cousins and that have died in that. And so and living in a different country doesn't help, but I've never ever forgotten those names never ever forgotten those dates until like the last 2 years when everything started becoming jumbled. But it's because I was a victim of many years, most of my life, from master manipulator, narcissistic, sociopathic, abusive relationships, even from friends, not just, marriages and that, but I have very few people in my life now who, because of all the people that I've had to let go of who were that way, my friends, family, colleagues, that sort of thing, they were all people who were master manipulators, using emotional manipulation and lies and that to, try and bend matter to their will, bend your matter to their will. And children have this incredible ability to block out trauma. Most creative, empathic children, when they grow up, won't even remember abuses until something triggers a memory. The thing you need to understand within ascension as well is that there are false memories. This is something that I have studied my entire life, because of the fact that there are incidents that happened to me as a child and when I was going through my ascension where I was utterly convinced they happened to me, but they happened to people in my life, but I remember them like I was there. False memories don't help ascension. So, if you do suddenly, trigger a memory of abuse or something happening, make sure that you are 100% getting your facts straight and that it's not a false memory. Because when you are ascending and you're touching the God frequency, you have access to all time. You have access to the entire Akashic records of everybody since the history of the dawn of time, since time memorial. And you'll get flashes of things that you'll be utterly convinced happened to you, but it would have happened to a cousin or a sister or a friend or a work colleague. So, you have to be very mindful of that and very careful of it as well, because before you go accusing someone, you need to make sure that you are 100% accurate. Otherwise, you can place it down to false memories because you're starting to see beyond the veil into the time space. And the time space theory is, it's my whole thing, understanding how time works, through the course of evolution and getting from here to there, time space, how long it takes, the journey you take to get there, all that sort of thing. It's all to do with quantum magnetics. And it was when I first, in the October of 2019, when I first, was being pulled out of my dark night of the soul, is when I started realizing that memories I was having um, prior to that weren't my memories, but I was seeing them like they were my own. This is, of course, when it was after my ascension, when I started working on my ascension sciences, and then quantum magnetics just came full circle, and I completely understood everything about it, and the ascension process and why things are necessary, and the understanding of everything. That I began to realize that that was my supernatural gift developing, that I'm a time jumper, that I can manipulate time to manifest reality. And because of that, and because I just had faith and had patience, and just I get, like, as soon as I get any hint of anything, now that person's gone, that thing is gone, it's shut down, it's removed, it's gone. I won't have any of that near me, because I won't have any of that near my children, or the people that I'm around, or the people who, because the people I'm around are ascending with me, including my own sons. The change and transformation within them, like I said to my son the other day, you're ready to be trained now. I have to start training him how to master quantum magnetics, because he's already become a very powerful manifester with the way that he speaks. And I've only been an eighth elemental alchemist for a few weeks. I mean, it was slowly starting to creep in last year, but now I'm fully fledged. I got Cleopatra's blessing. I'm on there. But he's already starting to exhibit signs of eighth elemental alchemy, and he's 15. So now I've had to start teaching him how to communicate and all that, because the power of words and that. In my bloodline, as a gatekeeper, um, we can manifest a lot of good, and we can manifest a lot of bad for people who are deserving of it, because gatekeepers are, we are the judge for that council of elders. And the council of elders are all your ancestors who achieved greatness in their life, who have, gone down in history, who were respected, and, high functioning, high vibrational people who achieved things in their life, where they're expecting you to carry on the honour of their name and that reputation. Um, so you are chosen for an ascension to clear the path of all the debris and all the darkness and all of that that has stuck to your family, stuck to your family names, and stuck to you, and you wash it all away, so that all sins are forgiven of your ancestors who committed them, and that's why you have to suffer great losses. You will be accused of things. You might even go to trial. You might even go to prison. You will get locked up. You might get locked up. You might come close to it, but you're going to hit rock bottom in a way that is going to be absolutely terrifying, because it's going to be the test to see who has your back and who doesn't. And I was pretty much left with one sister and my two sons, who were in a position to not be able to do anything about it, because they were underage or on the other side of the world. But I knew this going into it. And I reminded my boys of that the day they came to take me away with all those lies. I reminded them, this is going to be hard, it's going to be tough. It's on video, PC Violet's chest camera. When it goes to court, I'll bring it all up, because I have to prove that she lied on her report. And I said, we knew this day was coming, we knew this was happening. We have to be strong and remember where this takes us when we come out the other side. I walked out of there with my head held high, not knowing when I was going to see them again, not knowing that, the police and social services and the hospital and that were leaving my children in the hands of our abuser because of the lies and the fake news. I kept saying for years with my students, I'm pretty sure I've documented it on Instagram, fake news, someone's going to fake news, and it's going to almost destroy me. But at the end of it, I'll have my wish fulfillment and blah, blah, blah. And this was back even when I didn't believe in God, when I didn't even know that I was in an ascension, but I kept saying fake news. Someone with fake news is going to try and destroy my life. I don't know whether that was Chris and his lot or the police officers, PC Violet and PC Right in that, lying, fake news, fake reports, fake news, fake social media, fake photos, fake conversations, that sort of thing. But from 2016, I keep saying to my students, fake news, it's going to be fake news. Someone with fake news, someone who's going to know how to fake evidence or fake information is going to try and be my downfall, but it will end up flipping, and it will be their downfall, and I will rise as a result. And, everyone will know the story and what I did, and, blah, blah, blah. So if anyone tells you that they're ascending or that they have ascended and they haven't gone through any of this, it's not just about, oh, I've had failed marriages and I had to, move out and stuff. Like, your marriage will have failed because not only did they cheat on you and have kids to other women, but they took your money, they, put your photos up on the internet, they did this, they did that to smear your name. They will, one thing for sure is that people will try and trump up, fake charges against you because they want you removed, because they want to either take what you have, stop you from getting what you're achieving, or they just will want it, for themselves, take what you have, won't want you to get it. Even if they don't even want what you're achieving, they just won't want you to get it. They will hate you so much because you need to understand. Remember at the beginning I was saying about how your light, it's a blinding light. And when you are dealing with low vibrational people and they see that light, the first thing they're going to do, the swearing, the bad language, the vengeance, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and let's say this and let's say that, and let's do this and let's do that, and I know, let's put this up and say she did this or say he did that, and blah, blah, blah. And then the cops might come and you might have to go to court and you might even get locked up. But if you know you were innocent, and this is what you need to understand, if you know you were innocent, all weapons formed against you shall not prosper, because God will always have your back. When your gods and ancestors choose you for the ascension, it is with the understanding that no matter what I put you through, just like Job in the Bible, no matter what Satan and I agree to put you through, I promise you, you're going to come out of this better for it and stronger for it, and you will get justice and you will get victory. You just have to have faith in me. He takes the non-believers and he performs miracles in your life. To prove how much he loves you, to prove how much he needs you to be the best representative of what it is to work on yourself. He chooses you to say to everybody else, look how much I love you, even if you don't believe me, even if you don't believe in me, even if you have no faith. I had to tear everything down and put you through hell so that you could appreciate how beautiful heaven is. I don't believe in heaven. I believe in the greater creator consciousness, but for the sake of people who are listening to this who are Christians and Catholics and that do believe in heaven or an afterlife, then that's what's waiting for you. But when you ascend, when you finish your ascension, unlike everybody else, you won't have to come back and do it again. This is your last ride where you have to come back and learn lessons through your existence. After that, you get to choose what you want to do and where you want to go. If you want to come back as a fat lap cat, or just like a bird or a tree, or come back as a president to change the world, or a singer, whatever, you will get to decide. Even if you just want to hang out amongst the cosmos and just be a part of the greater consciousness that gets to be an actor in someone's dreams or daydreams or consciousness, or go saving your descendants and that from sleep paralysis and night terrors and all of that. You get to choose. that is technically receiving the golden chalice when you get to decide what you put in the cup. That's the ultimate reward. So my cup doesn't have much in it at the moment, just my future goals, my writing, my kids, a couple of friends, a sibling. You know what I mean? Like there's, but what I'm filling it up with is going to, when my cup runneth over, it's going to nourish a lot of people who were dehydrated and needing the sustenance at the other end when the water hits the ground. So just don't give up. Don't let anyone ruin all that hard work. Don't let anyone's bad attitude or non-believing or negative outlook on their own life stop you from achieving greatness in yours. It's just a sign that these people need to be removed, even if it's a husband, even if it's parents, even if it's siblings, even if it's work colleagues. They need to be removed, because the only sure thing that's going to happen if you ignore the red flags is that you're going to end up reverting right back to where you started. And then, because like I said, once you walk away from an ascension, you never get invited back, and you will be completely on your own. You'll have to deal with it all yourself, because it's a test of faith. And if you fail that test, you don't get another one. You are in the fight for your life. You are in the fight for your soul's survival. And an ascension is basically, do you fight, do you flee, or do you freeze? People who flee are people like my exes and that, who refuse to take accountability for what they've done. The police officers that lied, that destroyed innocent lives because of lies, and that these people run. They run from their responsibility. They run from doing the right thing. People who fight are people like me. Stand and fight. I'm not putting up with this injustice. You will not lie against my name. You will not ruin my reputation or the reputation of my ancestors because of your lies. And then there's freeze. The people who just go blank and just don't want to admit like anything's going on. If I ignore what she's going through or ignore what he's going through, then I don't have to look at it, and then it's not going to make me feel guilty that I did nothing. But it will, because your conscience will tell on you. The health of one's mind shows on the body. That's what you need to understand. So if you've got people giving it large about being spiritual and being righteous and being honest and truthful, and they're fat, and they've got, like bad skin and bad hair and bad diets, and they secretly smoke. I only just found out the other day that my ex-husband Chris has been smoking for all these years, when the boys and I thought he'd given up in 2015. So these sort of things, these are signs that you've turned down an ascension. And I'm not talking about bad skin, like, because you've got hormonal problems and that, because with vagus nerve activation you can actually break out, excuse me, because your hormones in that are trying to upgrade and recalibrate, and you go through like a DNA upgrade, so your skin will, you can break out. I've had pimples myself, a couple of years ago, right up until last year, like the odd pimple. I've never had pimples in my life, but it's because of the hormones and that, and the chemicals in your brain starting to change and course through your body. So these are just things that you need to watch out for. And if you have any questions, you know where I am. You can email me, and we'll get through this together. But again, as I keep saying, when I get my radio station, and I'm able to do my shows in there, obviously I want people to be able to call in, because I want to have like a talk back bit where people can like call in or email in or message in questions about their ascensions, the ascension process. But I also want to do a show where people can call in about their paranormal and supernatural stuff as well. There are two of the shows that I'm working on. I'm working on a couple, as you know, but when it comes to ascensions and the paranormal and supernatural in that, like with the explanation of tarot cards and everything you're seeing on my YouTube at the moment is all the start of me preparing everyone for the kind of radio shows that I'm going to put out. So as soon as we get justice and we're out of here and we get our own place and we get settled and I can get the internet and my laptop up and working and microphones and, proper editing equipment and all that sort of thing, I will start producing my radio shows. I've got a couple of presenters who also want to do their own shows. And then we can start, my active voice actors and I can start recording our stories for our Saturday and Sunday matinee radio. Saturday's going to be for men, like dads and uncles and granddads and that, who want to hear stories of espionage and, Chicago gangsters in the 1930s and World War II, investigations into, nefarious activities and stopping Germans from trying to fake false flag attacks in America and that, so that they could sneak in before the beginning of World War II and, all that sort of thing. Is for that Saturdays. My son Gabriel and I are working on that storyline now. We're quite a bit into it, but I do want to leave gaps for my voice actors to be able to add their own narrative to it, to add their own essence to it. And Sunday morning is for my children's stories, with a little help from my friends and the wishes make your dreams come true and that sort of thing will be for kids. So yeah, and then eventually we'll turn them into, little animations and movies and video games, and some of them will be video games, not all of them, but yeah. So this is the start of it. So just don't give up. Don't give up, because that's the test to see if you're going to give up. It's a trial by fire, and it's going to be painful, and you're going to get burnt, and your hair's going to get singed, and your skin's going to melt off, and you're going to be like burnt right down to the nerves and bones of yourself. But it's to remove anything and everything that has been stuck onto you that is unfair, that you have absorbed and been forced to absorb and take on and manifest into your own life, that has been put on you since you were born by people who didn't appreciate the role that you were going to play for their ancestors in the future, including teachers and school friends and that, because how you were treated will seal their fate as well. And that's what you need to understand. When you're going through an ascension, all the people that don't nurture you, all the people that do you harm, it seals their fate too. How you are treated will seal the fate of the people who treat you, I was going to say gooder, or badlier. Goodlier or badlier. You seal the fate of everybody who supports you and everybody who doesn't. So just hold your head up, keep walking. I promise you, I promise, hand on heart, may I be struck down by lightning right now. I promise you, when you come out the other side, you will be so grateful. You will be so happy. You're going to see the light at the end of the tunnel and everything that's waiting for you, and you will run to the finish line. No more hesitation. Oh, should I give that person another chance? Or, oh, maybe I read them wrong. Like, you'll be running straight to the light at the end of the tunnel. Just don't give up. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming, 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 swimming. Okay? And I'm here. So don't worry about it. We're in this together. I'll speak to you later. Ka kite anō. Mwah.